Good morning, mamas. Happy Monday. I'm Isabel, your Mother's Empowerment Coach here in the Mother's Empowerment Circle, and I am answering a mom question today for our Mommy Moment. And that question is, I'm trying to figure out how to jump back into school. Fear of failing always kept me from the pursuit. Now that I have a baby, I feel like not trying not trying would be the real failure. Any thoughts or tips? Well, first of all, thank you for asking this question. You're not alone in wondering when is the right time to pursue my dream or a big goal. And so my invitation to you is to just continue to ask yourself that. When is the right time? And often the answer is still, I don't know, Isabel. And so I want to remind you that there is a season for all things, right? And sometimes we don't know. And that means that we are in that season of not knowing, right? So the season of winter is often that time of not knowing, right? That time when it appears that everything is in darkness. But just like when the winter is here, just like when we're pregnant, it appears that nothing is happening. It appears that there's only darkness and that the darkness represents nothing. But as we know, even though the sky is dark, that doesn't mean that there's nothing happening, right? Even when the moon is a new moon and you can't see the moon, it doesn't mean it's not there. I remember just the other day, my kids and I were looking for the moon. And Ben, my 3-year-old, said, Mommy, the moon is not there. And Grace, my 8-year-old, said, Mommy, the moon is always there. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And so just because we don't know the answer, just because we don't know what our next step is, doesn't mean that innately the next step is not already there. And change is inevitable. So just like the seasons change, our lives change, our bodies change, our circumstances change, our hormones change, right? That's the one thing we can always rely on. But so often in motherhood, we feel stuck in our current season and we resist it, we push it away. And I know I did this. I did this so much, you guys, in my early motherhood. I was really in a period of winter. And I made it wrong and bad that I felt lonely and sad and depressed and anxious. Not that those feelings are ever good, but rather than looking at them and seeing them for what they are, which is a season of my life, and tending to those feelings just as they are, I resisted them. So I pushed them down. I pushed them away. And so often we do that, right? But that's like saying, you know, in the dead of winter, I'm going to go out in my bathing suit and then I'm going to complain that I'm cold, right? When really, when we're in the season of winter, we need to bundle up, right? We need to spend time inside. And when we don't like it, that's okay, right? So can we tend to ourselves in that dislike and in that discomfort of the season that we're in without pushing the season away? Because sometimes, right, we're in summer. Like, right, the season we're in right now in the Western Hemisphere is summer. The sun is out, right? The plants are active. Some of us prefer winter. Some of us don't want to be all outward, right? Some of us are like, wait, this is too much activity. This is too stimulating for me. I don't always want to be giving, which is what the summer season is about, right? So if you're in the summer of your mothering and you're finding that you're constantly giving and you're giving and you're giving and you're noticing that you're beginning to burn out, right? Then you may be in a transition. You may be burning out because your body is moving towards the fall. And that feeling of being exhausted is a sign that a season is coming to a close and a new season is just around the corner. And so can you let yourself start to remove things from your calendar, prepare for the fall, right? The falling away of what is not a priority. The preparation to go back inward, right? So our season, the season of our planet is always changing. So we are always changing too. So I'm curious, what season do you find yourself in right now? And specifically, I'll ask in your mothering. So our mom today asks, I'm trying to figure out, should I go back to school? So I ask you, what season of your life are you in? Is going back to school in this season of your life in service of being where you are, or is it counter that season? And I also want to say that we have so many different seasons inside of us, so this can be confusing, right? We've got the seasons of nature, we've got the seasons of our hormones, which happen, typically every 28 days we move through our cycle, right? Our menstruation cycle. So we've got that. We've also got the season of the moon. So the moon is also always in its cycle, and we're so linked to this cycle of the moon, and often we don't give ourselves credit for that cycle. We're also linked to the cycle of the day, right? Midday, noon is the summer of our day. This is the time of day when we're meant to be loud and proud and out and shiny and bright, whereas the morning is like the spring, right? And then as we move into the evening, that's like the fall of the day. And then the nighttime is the winter. And as you know, just because we're asleep doesn't mean nothing is happening in the winter. So we've got all these different seasons or phases happening all at once, swirling around. So it can feel overwhelming at times. But if we can just find that stillness within and acknowledge our season and acknowledge what comes up around that season. Acknowledge if we're frustrated or angsty or enjoying it and luxuriating it and finding pleasure in it, neither of which are wrong. But when we can notice something, when we can notice our response to the season that we're in, we separate ourselves a bit and we can look at the season for what it is, just a passing phase, right? And then we can shift our response to it. But when we don't acknowledge what is real and true, then we're just reacting. We're not able to respond. So if this is something that you want to dive deeper into, then I encourage you to book your dream catcher session with me. And we can really unpack what season of life are you in? And what gifts does that season have for you? And what challenges does it have for you? And how to respond to those challenges rather than react. So leave a comment below what season of mothering you're in, what season of life you're in. If you're mom to a fur baby, that counts too. Maybe what season of your dream are you in? Maybe you have a dream that's just newly budding, right? You have this expectation of yourself that the dream, right, should be in full flower, but it's not. It's just newly budding. So can you be with that bud, not needing it to be any different? Maybe you're a new mom and your baby is just learning to crawl, right? And you have this judgment of your baby that your baby should be walking already. Come on, catch up with all the other babies. Can you check yourself? Can you acknowledge your baby is right where he or she is meant to be, right? This is the season that your baby is meant to be because this is what is true. So again, leave a comment. Feel free to book your Dreamcatcher session. I will leave the link in the comments where to do that. And as always, take care. I know you will. Mwah. Bye.